Hey, I'm a sloth, the money guy on this branch. Every year, Americans hand banks $15 billion just in fees. I'm too lazy to explain how. Show 'em.
You had almost nothing left in your account. You made a couple of ordinary little purchases, a coffee, a snack, and by the end of the day, the bank had taken $140 from you. All of it, completely legal. Nobody reached into your pocket. Nobody hacked your card. You got cleaned out by a system that was deliberately built so you'd never notice. And for just one version of this trick, a court once forced a bank to pay people back $203 million. How a couple of small purchases turn into $140, I'll show you in just a minute. For now, hold on to this one question. Where does your money go while you sleep? But first, a number that's almost impossible to believe. In a single year, back in 2019, customers of American banks paid $15 billion. For what? For the privilege of running out of money. It's called an overdraft fee. Sounds boring. Let me put it in plain English. Picture this. You've got $3 on your card. You buy a bottle of water for $2. Enough? Enough. But if you come up short by even a single cent, the bank won't say, "Sorry, insufficient funds." The bank says, "Don't worry, we'll cover it for you." And then it charges you about $35 for that little favor. Think about what that actually means. You went negative by, say, $3 for a couple of days until payday. And you paid $35 for it. Convert that to an interest rate, like a normal loan, and you're looking at hundreds, even thousands of percent a year. No street loan shark ever dreamed of numbers like that. But here, it's all clean and legal, through a slick app with friendly little buttons. 35 for water. Water you never would have bought if you'd known the money wasn't there. And here's the kicker. The three biggest banks in the country collected almost half of all these fees. Half. From millions of people who already had next to nothing in their accounts. But how did a bank even come up with the idea of charging you money for not having money? Let me show you. And it's smarter than it looks. Remember the question, where does your money go while you sleep? Here's the answer. And to get the main trick, you first have to understand one thing banks don't love saying out loud. Your money isn't sitting in the bank. When you put $100 into your account, you picture it resting safely in some vault. It's not there. The bank lends almost all of your money out to other people, with interest. For the privilege of holding it, it pays you almost nothing. And it charges borrowers many times more. The difference goes straight into its pocket. In other words, you hand the bank your money practically for free, and it makes money off of it. And that's the honest part of the story. And it doesn't just earn on the interest. While your paycheck is on its way to your account, while a payment is processing, that money is already working for the bank. A day, 2, 3. From one person, pennies. From millions of people, a fortune. Every single day. Then it gets cleverer. The bank figured out how to make money even off the fact that you have no money. It calls this a convenient service, as in, we're helping you out. But nobody asked to be helped out. You were signed up for this service by default, and the fee was charged for real. Now, the story I promised. Remember the cup of coffee and the $203 million? Here's how that happened. One of the biggest banks in the country noticed something. If a person makes several purchases in a day, you can play with the order they're posted. Watch. In the morning, you've got $100 in your account. Over the day, 4 purchases. A coffee for $5, lunch for $20, gas for $40, and rent for $120. The fair way is to post them in order as you spent. That way you go negative just once, on the last big purchase. 1 fee. But the bank did it slyer. First it posted the biggest amount, then the next one, and the small stuff dead last. And what happened? It wasn't 1 purchase that went negative, it was 3 or 4. And each one its own separate fee, $35 apiece. The exact same spending on the exact same day, but instead of 1 penalty, 4. 35 4 times, that's 140. There they are, the very same $140 from the start of the video, out of thin air. The court eventually got to the bottom of it. The judge wrote it plainly. The bank's only goal was to squeeze the maximum out of the customer. He called it profiteering off the most vulnerable. The bank was ordered to return $203 million to people. And it wasn't just one bank. Another major bank paid $410 million in similar cases. Another, $110. And to give you a sense of scale, in just one state, California, over 3 years, that same bank collected nearly $1.8 billion in overdraft fees. In one state, over 3 years. From ordinary people, $35 at a time. And here's the thing, that's still not the worst of it. From here, it stops being funny for real. At one credit union, it came out that it was collecting millions of dollars a year on these fees, including from young Marines, from new recruits, people who already had pennies in their accounts. The fees were pulled from nearly empty accounts, and the balance dropped to a flat zero. People who signed up to serve were getting cleaned out, $35 at a time, legally. Let's go slow, step by step, how an empty account turns into debt. Step 1. You're enrolled in the overdraft service. Odds are you never even chose it. Step 2. You spend a little more than you have. By a cent, by a dollar, doesn't matter. Step 3. The bank doesn't decline the purchase. It quietly lets it through. Quietly. Step 4. For every purchase like that, a separate fee. Step 5. The sneakiest one. Until you notice you're negative, you keep spending. And every little thing, another $35 on top. One trip to the store can cost you more than $100 in penalties alone. And overdraft is just one trick out of many. Pulled cash from an ATM that isn't yours. You'll pay twice, both your own bank and the ATM's owner, for your own money. To you, it's pocket change. To them, across everybody at once, billions again. Even our Sloth could handle this math, and he, let me remind you, hates moving more than he has to. And now the twist that changes everything. You're probably thinking, well, this happens to people who don't watch their money. Not really. Here's what researchers found. Almost 80% of all these fees are paid by fewer than 9% of customers. Let that sink in. A tiny handful of people feeds almost this entire machine. And who are these people? Not the rich. Just the opposite. The ones with the least money of all. The ones living paycheck to paycheck. The ones whose balance is always close to zero, which means going negative is the easiest thing in the world for them. You end up with something brutal. The poorer you are, the more you pay. The system is built to hit hardest exactly the people who already have it hardest. This isn't a glitch. This is the design. And here's what matters. Banks do this not because they're villains in capes. It's just very profitable for them. For a lot of banks, these fees aren't an accident. They're a whole line of revenue. They got hooked on them. And this isn't some conspiracy theory from the couch. These fees have long been openly called junk fees. Under pressure, banks have already paid customers back hundreds of millions of dollars. And some of these surprises, where there was money in the account but the fee got charged anyway, have been flat out ruled illegal, meaning the problem is acknowledged and documented. And still, there's a way out, and it's simpler than you think. So what do you do with all this? I'm not going to give you financial advice. That's not what I'm here for. I just want you to see the mechanism. Because once you see how the trick works, the trick stops working. Look at the terms of your account. It says right there whether this service is turned on for you and what a single slip-up costs. Know the order your money gets posted in. And know the most important thing, you have a choice. By the rules, the bank has to ask for your consent before rescuing you on card purchases and at the ATM. And if they have to ask, you can simply say no. Then, the moment the money isn't there, the purchase just won't go through, and no fee. A lot of people don't even realize this, because the most expensive thing in this whole system is your inattention and your hurry. And here's the core idea of this channel. In the world of money, it isn't the fastest who survive, it's the calmest. The one who doesn't rush, doesn't spend on emotion, and calmly reads what they're signing, that's the one the bank won't make a dime extra off of. Hurry costs money, calm is free. And at that, by the way, the sloth happens to have a natural gift.
Well, now you know. Subscribe to the Sloth. I break down every trick they use to rip you off. Next time, how stores make you buy more than you planned. For now, don't rush. See you on the branch.